Welcome to the deep dive. It's easy to get lost in the sheer volume of daily headlines, isn't it?
It really is.
One moment you're reading about high-stakes international diplomacy, the next it's a scientific breakthrough at the subatomic level, and then something completely different about the planet itself.
Hmm.
But have you ever really stopped to consider how all of these seemingly disparate global events are in fact incredibly interwoven?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? It's like this massive, intricate tapestry.
Exactly.
Right.
And today, we're going to pull at some of those threads, uh, try and reveal the bigger picture for you.
That's precisely our mission. On the deep dive, we take a diverse stack of recent global news from the highest levels of geopolitical strategy, right down to the microscopic world and the depths of the ocean.
Right.
And our goal is to unearth the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you, our curious listener.
We want to quickly, but, thoroughly inform you, provide that crucial context, maybe some different perspectives.
And hopefully deliver those satisfying aha moments that make understanding our complex world just, well, so much richer.
Absolutely. And trust me, we've got quite the journey planned for you today. We'll be unpacking the truly complex and ever-evolving dynamics of global diplomacy.
Especially around the Ukraine conflict.
Yes, particularly in the wake of that significant United States-U.S.-Russia summit, it's still sending ripples out.
It really is. And then we'll dive into the intensifying challenges posed by climate change and, well, natural disasters across the globe.
But juxtaposed with some genuinely fascinating new scientific discoveries, too. Things that could really redefine our understanding of, well, everything.
Our exploration continues into critical humanitarian issues, including a profoundly tragic situation unfolding in the Gaza Strip, alongside broader societal and economic trends impacting workers and development on a global scale. Lots happening there.
And finally, we'll shift our focus to the cutting edge, exploring new frontiers in space and technology, and how these innovations are actively shaping our collective future.
It's quite a range.
Sounds like a full plate. All right, buckle up. Let's truly deep dive into this. So let's kick things off with what was arguably the big geopolitical event recently. The summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump in Alaska.
Definitely dominated the headlines.
This wasn't just another meeting. It was the first face-to-face encounter since President Trump's return to office. And the air was, well, thick with anticipation.
Indeed, the setting itself was highly symbolic. Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage, Alaska,
Right.
a location that historically served as a strategic Cold War outpost, so there's that layer.
Definitely a message there.
And the format was also quite deliberate, beginning with a brief one-on-one discussion before
Nice.
expanding into more extended negotiations. Both leaders, according to various reports, described the talks as constructive,
Constructive, interesting.
signaling a potential softening in tone, perhaps, compared to previous periods of heightened tension.
And what a pivot we saw from President Trump's side, especially regarding the Ukraine conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
The BBC, among other outlets, reported that he had initially been a very vocal supporter of Ukraine against Russian aggression. Very clear on that.
Initially, yes.
But leading up to this Alaska meeting, there was a noticeable shift in his public statements. He actually called for a ceasefire ahead of even sitting down with Putin.
That raised eyebrows.
It really did. And then, following the summit, he went further, urging Ukraine to consider a peace agreement with Russia. That's pretty significant policy shift, wouldn't you say?
It was a very pronounced shift, yes, and one that drew significant criticism, particularly from Kyiv and its European allies, as you'd expect.
I can imagine.
Axios highlighted reports suggesting that President Trump appeared notably sympathetic to Putin's approach during the meeting,
Sympathetic. Wow.
which, as you can imagine, generated feelings of betrayal and unease among many Ukrainians who rely on, well, unwavering U.S. support.
Of course.
Furthermore, Yahoo News noted that Trump faced criticism for seemingly being undermined during the summit.
Undermine how?
Well, the sense was he secured no significant concrete agreements, despite what some characterized as rolling out a red carpet for Putin.
I mean, if you're laying out a red carpet, you'd expect at least a signed napkin, right? Something tangible.
Something, exactly. And Putin, ever the shrewd diplomat, certainly seemed to seize that moment. Yahoo reported that he extended an invitation for President Trump to visit Moscow. From Moscow's perspective, the narrative surrounding the summit was decidedly positive and strategically crafted.
How so?
RT in India Today quoted President Putin describing the talks as constructive, sincere, and timely.
Okay, strong words.
unequivocally indicating a renewed opportunity for meaningful diplomacy from their point of view. He expressed cautious optimism that these discussions had brought them closer to necessary solutions for resolving hostilities promptly and fairly.
But on what terms? That's the key question.
Well, Putin also consistently articulated his long-standing position, insisting on a fair resolution based on the root causes of the conflict.
Meaning?
He explicitly mentioned Ukraine's commitment to not joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and recognizing certain territorial realities, referencing areas like Crimea and parts of the Donbas region.
So the same core demands from Russia.
Essentially, yes. This highlights a fundamental divergence in preconditions for peace, still.
And the symbolic gestures coming out of Russia were absolutely fascinating. RT reported that Russian experts interpreted the meeting as a significant step toward normalization of relations and de-escalation.
That's the message they want out there.
Clearly. There was even a deliberate symbolic contrast with past, more volatile meetings. A noticeable lack of extensive press questions during the joint press conference.
Right, less of a media scrum.
Suggesting a shift perhaps to more substantive dialogue rather than what some might call a media circus. But perhaps the most talked about bit of symbolism, for me at least, was Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's choice of attire.
Ah, yes, the USSR sweatshirt. It certainly generated a lot of buzz.
It did. Lavrov arrived at the summit wearing this casual white sweater emblazoned with USSR in bold black letters.
Quite a statement piece.
Definitely. RT reported that this sweatshirt, produced by a Chelyabinsk-based label called Selsovit, quickly sold out after his photo went viral globally.
Wow, fashion diplomacy.
Exactly. For a fashion choice to make that kind of diplomatic statement, it really tells you something. It clearly reflected a resurgence of Soviet-themed culture in Russia, which is directly tied to a particular narrative of national identity and historical strength.
Like saying, we remember.
It's almost like saying, we're back and we remember who we are.
That's a crucial point. It underscores how deeply ingrained historical narratives and national identity are in contemporary geopolitics. Even down to, well, sweatshirt choices. Beyond the immediate optics and symbolic gestures, there are significant geopolitical concerns that the summit's legacy might tilt towards a new Yalta.
A new Yalta. Explain that.
Well, Al Jazeera discussed this concept in depth. For our listeners, the original Yalta Conference in 1945 saw the major Allied powers, the US, UK, and Soviet Union meet to discuss Europe's post-war reorganization.
Right, redrawing the map, essentially.
Effectively redrawing geopolitical lines and spheres of influence. The worry here is that this Alaska summit could similarly lead to a redrawing of current geopolitical lines, particularly in Eastern Europe, largely in favor of Moscow and Washington.
And potentially sidelining Europe.
Potentially relegating Europe's position and autonomy in this emerging power dynamic. That's the fear.
And we're already seeing echoes of that sentiment playing out within Europe itself, aren't we?
We are. RT quoted Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico praising the summit.
Not entirely surprising from him.
Given his past criticisms of the European Union's confrontational stance toward Russia, no. Fico even went a step further, halting military aid to Ukraine and arguing passionately for direct dialogue with Moscow.
Orban in Hungary.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a frequent ally of Fico in EU policy debates and often seen as a dissenting voice within the EU, echoed these sentiments, praising the summit for contributing to global safety and stability.
So it really highlights the internal fissures within what was once a largely unified European front on Ukraine.
It undeniably creates a challenging environment for maintaining European cohesion. And amidst these high-level discussions, there was also a fascinating, more personal diplomatic gesture reported by The Guardian.
Oh, what was that?
First Lady Melania Trump delivered a peace letter to President Putin.
A letter. What about?
The letter reportedly focused specifically on the humanitarian issue of abducted children, a deeply emotional and sensitive topic.
Yeah.
This highlighted a blend of personal and political diplomacy, adding another unexpected and somewhat poignant layer to the summit proceedings, stepping outside the traditional diplomatic playbook.
Interesting. Now, if we turn our attention to Ukraine and its European allies, it's abundantly clear they are facing immense pressure and navigating a very, very delicate diplomatic landscape.
Extremely delicate.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has admirably maintained a very firm stance throughout all of this, as widely reported by RT.
He's been consistent.
He has consistently emphasized the necessity of a ceasefire before any negotiations can truly take place, stating unequivocally that attempting to negotiate under duress from ongoing hostilities is simply untenable.
Gives Russia an unfair advantage, is the argument.
Exactly. And Politico Europe reinforced this unwavering position, noting Zelensky's firm statement that Ukraine will not concede any territories that have not been occupied by Russian forces.
That's a crucial distinction.
It is, implying that any currently unoccupied territory is completely non-negotiable. He also dismissed outright any discussions of territorial concessions due to constitutional prohibitions within Ukraine,
Legal barriers as well.
underscoring the legal and sovereign barriers to such agreements. RT further reported that he called for tougher sanctions against Russia if a trilateral peace meeting does not take place, emphasizing sanctions as effective measures to exert pressure on Moscow.
So using leverage where he can.
He's certainly playing hardball, making it crystal clear that Ukraine must be at the table and that its territorial integrity is paramount. Zelensky also insisted on Ukraine's unequivocal inclusion in any discussions about its future, especially territorial matters.
The nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine principle.
Precisely. He is not willing to be a pawn in a larger geopolitical game.
This firm stance, however, has predictably led to a significant sense of dismay and concern among Ukrainian officials, and indeed many of their European allies.
You can see why.
The BBC highlighted apprehension that a ceasefire, particularly one agreed upon without Ukraine's full consent and without Russian withdrawal from occupied territories, as initially suggested by President Trump, could gravely undermine Ukraine's ongoing defense efforts.
And legitimize Russian gains.
And essentially legitimize Russian territorial gains. While Sir Keir Starmer, a prominent UK political figure, leader of the opposition Labour Party, he acknowledged and praised Trump's efforts, seeing potential for the conflict to end, but he also wisely emphasized the crucial importance of broader international collaboration to achieve a just and lasting peace.
So, cautioning against just the U.S. and Russia deciding things.
Implicitly cautioning against unilateral approaches, yes.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The layers of negotiation and expectation are thick here, a real diplomatic Gordian knot.
Absolutely.
RT reported that German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, a key political figure in Germany, warned the European Union not to overestimate their influence on a resolution to the conflict.
A dose of realism there.
He was realistic, acknowledging the United States' predominant role due to its substantial military and economic leverage over Russia. That's a sobering assessment, isn't it?
It is, implying that despite European unity, the ultimate levers of power might reside elsewhere.
That statement really does raise an important question about the practicalities of maintaining allied cohesion when individual leaders or major powers pursue distinct diplomatic paths that may not perfectly align.
It's a huge challenge. Al Jazeera and RT reported that European leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron and Chancellor Merz, are actively preparing to join President Zelensky in Washington, D.C.
Okay, so a united front heading to D.C.
Exactly. This unified trip aims to bolster Ukraine's stance and present a united European front ahead of Zelensky's direct meeting with President Trump.
Trying to strengthen his hand.
And the United Kingdom and the European Union have also collectively expressed readiness to maintain pressure through economic measures until a just and lasting peace is achieved, according to RT, signaling their continued commitment to sanctions.
And adding to that sense of European anxiety, RT also quoted Russian envoy Dmitriev, remarking that European and British officials are anxious about the direct bilateral U.S.-Russia dialogue.
Feeling left out.
It's almost as if they feel they're on the sidelines of a conversation that directly impacts their security and future. So yes, everyone is definitely watching Washington, D.C. closely.
All eyes on D.C. Monday.
The New York Times, RT, Al Jazeera, and Deutsche Welle, DW, have all reported that President Trump is indeed set to host Zelensky and other European leaders at the White House on Monday. Could be momentous.
This upcoming meeting is particularly crucial because reports from multiple outlets, including the New York Times, The Guardian, and RT, suggest that President Trump might propose Ukraine relinquishing certain territories in Donbass in exchange for a halt to hostilities elsewhere.
Whoa! That would be huge.
It would represent a significant concession from Ukraine's perspective, given its stated position on territorial integrity and those constitutional prohibitions we mentioned.
That's a massive ask, and frankly, a very risky one for Zelensky domestically, considering his public commitments. But there's a flip side to this high-stakes negotiation as well.
What's that?
RT quoted U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, who indicated that Russia might be willing to make concessions on land swaps with Ukraine.
Land swaps. Interesting.
Potentially using the current front line as a reference point for a negotiated settlement. Witkoff's also noted the potential for an agreement on robust security guarantees for Ukraine, similar to NATO's Article 5 commitments from the U.S. and European allies.
Ah, security guarantees. That's key.
A detail also picked up by DW. That's significant because it offers a potential pathway for Ukraine's long-term security without immediate NATO membership, which has been a major sticking point for Russia.
It is indeed a significant detail. It suggests a possible compromise. Ukraine gets concrete security assurances, maybe not full NATO membership, which avoids crossing that red line for Moscow.
But is it realistic?
Well, Senator Marco Rubio from the U.S., speaking to Reuters and ABC News, expressed skepticism about the U.S.'s ultimate ability to create a successful scenario for peace.
Skepticism from Rubio.
He stressed that both Russia and Ukraine will need to make significant concessions for any peace deal to truly materialize, underscoring the immense difficulty of finding common ground when core demands are so profoundly divergent. The path to peace, it seems, remains fraught with obstacles.
Okay, so that's the massive Ukraine, Russia, U.S., Europe picture. But beyond that immediate geopolitical flashpoint, the world is, as always, a dynamic place, full of other developing situations. Let's shift our gaze slightly to some critical humanitarian issues.
Important not to lose sight of those.
One that's particularly heartbreaking is the recent decision by the U.S. State Department to suspend all visitor visas for individuals from the Gaza Strip.
What's truly fascinating and deeply concerning here is the immediate and tangible impact of social media narratives on international policy decisions.
How so?
Directly affecting incredibly vulnerable populations. Al Jazeera and DW reported that this decision specifically affects children from Gaza seeking life-saving medical care in the U.S.
Children needing medical care are being denied visas. Why?
The direct cause, reportedly, was a social media outcry led by far-right activists, notably Laura Loomer, who erroneously claimed that Palestinian refugees had somehow entered the U.S.
Based on misinformation.
Based on unsubstantiated claims, this online clamor rapidly translated into a severe policy shift with dire real-world consequences.
It's astonishing how quickly online narratives, even misleading ones, can translate into such profound, real-world consequences that directly impact lives.
Humanitarian organizations like the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, PCRF, have been vocal in their condemnation, raising serious concerns. They've stated that this suspension will be devastating and is inhumane.
Especially given the state of healthcare in Gaza.
Exactly. Gaza's healthcare system is already on the brink, completely overwhelmed and crumbling, as highlighted by BBC and Al Jazeera video reports. It's a crisis layered on top of a crisis.
That's awful.
And this administrative action occurs within the profoundly dire, broader context of ongoing military actions by Israel in Gaza, which have already resulted in over 61,000 deaths in the past 2 years, according to Al Jazeera.
61,000.
Staggering. There are also stark warnings from the United Nations and other international bodies of widespread starvation and disease throughout the territory, painting a truly dire humanitarian picture that this visa suspension only exacerbates by cutting off a critical lifeline for the most vulnerable.
Shifting continents and themes slightly, we're seeing significant social and political unrest unfolding in Serbia.
Yes, and the Balkans.
RT and Al Jazeera reported extensively on anti-government protests and clashes with police in cities like Valjevo and the capital, Belgrade.
What sparked it?
These protests were initially fueled by a truly tragic railway station roof collapse that killed 16 people.
Oh, terrible.
But they rapidly broadened into wider grievances against the government.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this situation highlights the inherent fragility of political stability, especially when coupled with underlying economic grievances, a perceived lack of accountability, and eroding public trust in institutions.
Things can escalate quickly.
They can. Protesters even resorted to setting fire to offices of the ruling Serbian Progressive Party, SNS, as documented by RT and Al Jazeera.
And the government's response?
In response, President Alexander Vučić condemned the unrest, going as far as suggesting foreign influences were at play.
The foreign influence card.
And asserting forcefully that no civil war would be tolerated. RT even drew parallels to past color revolutions, a term often used by Russia and its allies to describe what they see as Western-backed pro-democracy movements, suggesting external manipulation rather than genuine internal dissent.
From the Balkans, let's travel to East Asia. Australia and Britain have been in the news for granting asylum to prominent Hong Kong pro-democracy activists Tony Chung and Ted Hui.
Yes, DW and Al Jazeera reported on this. These individuals had fled Hong Kong after facing charges under China's sweeping national security law.
The law that's really cracked down on dissent there.
Exactly. It effectively curbs dissent and political freedoms in the semi-autonomous city.
What are their plans now?
Tony Chung, who had previously been imprisoned for secession under the controversial law, has explicitly stated his plans to continue his advocacy for Hong Kong independence from abroad.
So continuing the fight from outside.
Ted Hui, another prominent activist, expressed what he called bittersweet emotions, mourning his lost home and the erosion of freedoms in Hong Kong, while simultaneously expressing profound gratitude for the protection he and his family received in Australia.
I can imagine. And Hong Kong's reaction.
Unsurprisingly, the Hong Kong government swiftly condemned these foreign nations for harboring criminals, viewing such actions as direct interference in their internal affairs and an undermining of their legal system.
So tensions remain high.
This situation underscores the broader international implications of China's tightening grip on Hong Kong, definitely.
And finally, on this global tour, a glimmer of hope maybe, regarding the issue of brain drain in Somalia.
Yes, a challenge many developing nations face. UN News recently highlighted the persistent problem of skilled professionals leaving the country due to decades of conflict, the escalating impacts of climate change, and persistent economic hardship.
Stripping the nation of crucial human capital.
Precisely. But to actively counter this, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, launched its Migration in Africa for Development program, or MIDA. MIDA, okay. What does it do? This innovative program specifically facilitates the dignified and productive return of skilled professionals from the Somali diaspora. UN News stated that an impressive over 400 individuals from 17 countries have returned through this initiative.
400 skilled people returning. That's significant.
Bringing back their expertise to rebuild their homeland. It's important to note, too, the diaspora itself is a powerful economic force. Remittances exceed $2 billion annually.
Wow, more than foreign aid.
Exceeding $2 billion, yeah, which actually surpasses direct foreign aid to Somalia.
That's a truly significant figure and a testament to the commitment of the diaspora.
The MIDA program focuses not just on financial contributions, though, but on the crucial transfer of technical skills and the establishment of vital professional networks.
Building capacity from within.
Exactly. UN News provided excellent examples like pedagogy expert Shire Salad and Professor Mohammed Gur, who are actively working to improve education standards and curriculum development within Somalia.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means even in the face of daunting, systemic challenges like protracted conflict and climate crises, grassroots efforts combined with strategic international support can offer a tangible glimmer of hope.
And create a genuine two-way street for progress, building capacity from within, even with global assistance. It's about leveraging human capital wherever it resides.
Let's shift gears now from the complexities of human-to-human interaction to the raw, undeniable power of nature, which seems to be under constant pressure from our changing climate.
It certainly feels that way.
We've been seeing truly devastating natural disasters across the globe, particularly the monsoon season in South Asia. The Associated Press, AP, RT, and DW have all reported on the tragic human toll.
The numbers are heartbreaking.
The death count rising to 220 in Pakistan alone, and over 400 fatalities across the affected areas, including India-administered Jammu and Kashmir and Nepal. Just awful numbers.
It is, and the specifics are harrowing, illustrating the immense vulnerability of these regions. RT highlighted a particular severe cloudburst in India's Jammu and Kashmir region.
Cloudburst.
Yeah, affecting the remote village of Chesoti, where over 46 people died. This event also caused extensive property damage, buildings, a market, even a critical bridge, severing connections.
They're cutting people off.
In Pakistan, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province has been primarily impacted, as detailed by DW, with numerous villages and towns just inundated.
And the rescue efforts themselves are incredibly dangerous,
Yeah.
often becoming tragic stories in their own right.
Absolutely. AP and DW reported that disaster response teams are facing immense challenges amidst the chaos, navigating difficult terrain and swift currents.
Didn't a helicopter crash?
Tragically, yes. There was even a helicopter crash that resulted in 5 casualties during rescue operations, underscoring the immense risks these brave individuals undertake.
Just terrible.
And the threat isn't over yet. Forecasters are warning of more rain to come across the region.
Oh, no.
Which raises significant concerns about the already strained infrastructure and preparedness in these areas, according to AP.
And the climate link.
Government officials are also directly emphasizing the rising frequency of extreme weather events, explicitly linking the severity of these monsoon floods to the broader phenomenon of climate change and unplanned development in vulnerable, often mountainous regions, as DW noted.
That combination of climate change and development choices.
It highlights a critical intersection of environmental science and urban planning, definitely.
Speaking of intensifying weather, Hurricane Erin has been making headlines, and it's described with a rather alarming term: explosively deepened.
That sounds dramatic.
This storm rapidly intensified to a Category 5 storm, according to the BBC. That just sounds violently fast.
It is indeed. Explosive deepening is a very specific meteorological term. It refers to a dramatic intensification where a tropical cyclone's central atmospheric pressure drops by at least 24 millibars within a 24-hour period.
24 millibars in 24 hours. Wow.
For Hurricane Erin to jump from a strong storm to Category 5 so quickly means it wasn't just gradually gaining strength, it underwent a sudden, extreme surge of energy.
So it wasn't a gradual buildup.
No. While it was later downgraded, first to Category 4 and then to Category 3 by Reuters as it encountered less favorable conditions, it still posed life-threatening risks.
Where was it headed?
Urgent warnings were issued to residents in its projected path, particularly in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
That kind of rapid explosive escalation to Category 5 is truly unsettling, isn't it? The BBC pointed out that it's another stark reminder,
A loud one.
a very loud one, of the continued challenges posed by climate change and intensifying weather events. It's almost like the storms are getting impatient.
It truly is. This raises an important question. How can coastal regions and communities better prepare for and adapt to such rapidly intensifying storms in a changing climate?
Better forecasting, better infrastructure.
All of the above. Traditional forecasting models often struggle with these sudden accelerations, highlighting the urgent need for more robust infrastructure, enhanced early warning systems, and improved community resilience strategies.
It's no longer just about knowing a storm is coming.
But anticipating how quickly it can become devastating.
From the raging storms above to the silent fortresses below, the ocean's fragile bryozoans.
Bryozoans, tell me more.
Science Daily reported on new, critical research revealing how two major impacts of climate change, ocean acidification and warming, are severely affecting these often overlooked, yet essential, marine habitat builders.
Essential habitat builders, okay.
Bryozoans are truly fascinating, largely underappreciated invertebrates. They create complex, often delicate, three-dimensional structures that shelter numerous marine species, from tiny crustaceans to juvenile fish.
Like underwater apartment buildings.
Sort of, serving as critical nursery grounds and protective habitats. Despite their foundational role, they've been relatively understudied in environmental change research until now.
How did they study them?
This particular study utilized a unique natural laboratory in Ischia, Italy, where volcanic CO2 bubbles naturally emanate from the seafloor.
Oh, cool. Like a preview of the future ocean.
Exactly, providing perfect conditions to simulate future ocean acidification conditions.
And what did they find? Was it obvious?
Well, that's the tricky part. While researchers observed some acclimation, visually meaning the bryozoans might look okay on the surface,
Okay.
the deeper analysis revealed a significant loss in functional microbial diversity within their tissues.
So stressed on the inside.
Precisely, indicating profound environmental stress despite visual health, meaning they might appear outwardly healthy but are internally struggling to maintain their fundamental biological processes.
And temperature makes it worse. Science Daily specifically emphasized that rising temperatures compounded the impacts of acidification, leading to decreased encrusting bryozoan coverage and higher mortality rates.
So what's the bigger picture impact?
The broader implication, as Science Daily clearly noted, is that the widespread loss of bryozoans could disrupt the wider marine food web. These small, seemingly insignificant creatures play a foundational role.
Rippling upwards.
Their decline would ripple through the entire food chain, impacting everything from the smallest filter feeders to larger fish and even marine mammals, potentially destabilizing entire ecosystems. It's a reminder that even the tiniest organisms can have immense ripple effects.
Now let's talk about a very tangible tension point, a classic dilemma between rapid economic development and essential biodiversity conservation.
Always a tough balance.
The Batang Toru hydroelectric dam in North Sumatra, Indonesia, is threatening the critically endangered Tapanuli orangutan, Pongo tapanuliensis.
Ooh, the Tapanuli orangutan, yes, very rare.
A species with a truly dire population count of fewer than 800 individuals left in the wild. Inside Climate News brought this urgent situation to light.
What's profoundly fascinating and often heartbreaking here is the global tension between rapid economic development and essential biodiversity conservation.
And this project has international ties, right?
Yes, a tension frequently amplified by significant international investment. This particular dam, for instance, is not just a local Indonesian project. It is notably financed and constructed by Chinese state-owned enterprises under the Belt and Road Initiative,
China's Belt and Road.
a massive global infrastructure development strategy. This makes it a microcosm of a much larger global debate.
So it's definitely not just a local issue, but one with major international players. Inside Climate News detailed how the dam construction will directly disrupt 1.5 square miles of this orangutan's already fragmented vital habitat.
Fragmenting it even further.
This disruption leads to further habitat fragmentation, which in turn causes inbreeding within isolated populations, reduces genetic diversity, and critically increases human-wildlife conflict as the orangutans are forced into smaller areas closer to human settlements.
And is the dam even needed?
That's what critics are arguing. They argue vehemently that the environmental and social costs, the displacement of local communities, and the potential extinction of a species far outweigh the supposed benefits. They point out that local electrification rates are already high, questioning the fundamental necessity of such a large-scale facility.
When alternative, less destructive energy solutions might exist, it truly highlights the complex trade-offs inherent in large-scale energy projects and the urgent need for sustainable development practices that rigorously consider environmental impact assessments.
Yeah.
On another geological note, IFL Science reported on an anticipated underwater volcano eruption off the U.S. coast, projected to occur in 2025.
An underwater volcano off the U.S. coast. That definitely sounds like something straight out of a disaster movie trailer.
Slight chuckle, it does have that ring to it. IFL Science noted that this anticipation has sparked a mix of excitement and concern among scientists and the general public.
Excitement and concern. An interesting mix. Like, scientists are excited for the data, but maybe not for the eruption itself.
Probably something like that. On one hand, it's a chance for scientific observation. On the other, well, it's a volcano about to go off. It does indeed highlight the critical importance of continuously monitoring volcanic activity, particularly in active seismic zones,
And being prepared.
and maintaining preparedness for potential impacts on marine life, underwater ecosystems, and even coastal communities. These are dynamic geological processes that we are still working to fully understand and predict.
Any eruption provides invaluable data, I suppose.
Exactly.
All right, let's unpack this next one because it's a bit of a head-scratcher and a classic what does it all mean moment. The BBC reported some rather unusual observations in the United Kingdom.
Oh, what's happening in the UK?
Leaves falling from trees and berries ripening earlier than usual, despite surprisingly warm temperatures for the season.
Huh. Early autumn signs, but it's warm.
Right. Is nature just trying to keep us on our toes, playing a little trick? Or is this another subtle but undeniable whisper from our changing climate?
It's a fascinating observation, and it prompts serious scientific discussions about climate patterns and environmental changes. These early biological indicators are known as phenological shifts,
Phenological shifts.
which refers to changes in the timing of recurring biological events, like flowering, migration, or leaf fall, in response to environmental cues.
So is it a blip or a trend?
That's the question. Are these specific instances indicating a longer-term change, a new seasonal pattern emerging, or merely a temporary anomaly caused by short-term weather fluctuations?
Does it matter much? A few early berries?
Well, while seemingly minor, such shifts can have broader ecological impacts, affecting everything from migratory bird patterns and insect life cycles to agricultural yields and the delicate balance of ecosystems. It's a subtle but important indicator that our climate is indeed changing, even if the daily temperature feels warm.
Moving from the natural world's pressures to the cutting edge of human ingenuity, let's talk about innovation and the future. China is making a very strategic and aggressive push in space,
They certainly are active.
particularly when it comes to space solar power. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, reported that experts are urging China to accelerate its development of space solar power technology.
Not just for energy, right?
No, not just for energy, but to significantly strengthen its position in the new energy sector and, crucially, in the ongoing space race against other global powers.
This is an incredibly bold and technologically ambitious undertaking. The fundamental advantage of space solar power is, well, obvious in a way.
Continuous power, no clouds.
It generates electricity continuously, without interference from terrestrial weather patterns or the day-night cycle, leveraging the more intense and uninterrupted solar radiation available in Earth's orbit.
Sounds great, but what are the catches?
However, as SCMP noted, significant technical and logistical challenges remain. These include high launch costs for transporting massive solar arrays into orbit,
Getting all that stuff up there.
issues with inferior material longevity in the harsh space environment, materials degrading,
Right.
and lagging technological advancements in on-orbit servicing, which refers to the ability to repair and maintain satellites in space, fixing things remotely.
Despite those daunting hurdles, which sound like something out of a science fiction movie, honestly, China is investing heavily.
How much?
The SCMP reported a 2.6 billion yuan, which is approximately $362.2 million, project already underway to develop its first dedicated space solar power research facility in Chongqing.
Okay, serious money.
And get this, the aspiration is for commercial viability by 2050.
2050, that's surprisingly soon in cosmic terms.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not that far off. If they pull this off, it would be a game changer for global energy.
And speaking of nations making significant strides in space, India's is also reaching for the stars. India Today reported on the grand welcome of Indian astronaut Sudhanshu Shukla.
Ah, yes, the Axiom 4 mission astronaut.
He recently completed the Axiom 4 mission and got a grand welcome in Delhi. He was met by the Chief Minister of Delhi and senior officials from the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO.
So, a big national event.
Underscoring the national importance of this achievement, this definitely marks a significant achievement in India's space exploration and highlights the growing prominence of Indian astronauts in global space missions.
It's wonderful to see the national pride and scientific ambition converging in these endeavors. India is clearly positioning itself as a major player in the commercial and scientific space sector.
Absolutely. From the macro scale of space now down to the subatomic world, scientists in Finland have made a truly groundbreaking discovery as reported by Science Daily.
What do they find?
After 3 decades of meticulous research, they successfully measured the properties of the heaviest nucleus that decays via proton emission.
Okay, that sounds technical. Heaviest nucleus decaying by proton emission. What's the nucleus?
This elusive nucleus is known as astatine-188 or 188 atom.
Astatine-188.
Wow.
And the groundbreaking part.
What's truly wild and honestly a bit mind-bending about this is its unique shape. Science Daily describes the nucleus as exhibiting a prolate shape,
Prolate, like a football.
which is colloquially being called watermelon-shaped.
Watermelon-shaped? An atom nucleus.
Apparently so. This isn't just a quirky visual, it suggests novel interaction occurring within heavy nuclei that physicists hadn't fully anticipated. I mean, a watermelon-shaped nucleus. My mind is officially blown. Slight chuckle, indeed. This isn't just a quirky shape for the sake of it. It's a profound revelation at the very heart of matter. For decades, our standard models of heavy nuclei often predicted shapes that were relatively spherical or perhaps slightly football-like, as you said.
Right, not like fruit.
A watermelon shape for astatine-188, especially one that decays via proton emission. A rare decay mode where a proton is ejected from the nucleus fundamentally challenges those long-held assumptions about nuclear structure and stability.
So it changes the models.
The deep insight here is that the incredibly strong forces governing these tiny universes within atoms are far more complex and surprising than we imagined. It forces physicists to redraw their very understanding of nuclear physics and potentially unlocks new pathways for energy or even applications in medicine. It's a literal reshaping of fundamental physics.
Wow, okay, from understanding the very fabric of matter to fighting one of humanity's most persistent diseases, cancer.
A huge challenge.
Researchers at Columbia Engineering have pioneered a novel cancer therapy that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi blockbuster, but it's real, and it's potentially groundbreaking for cancer treatment. Science Daily describes it as using a Trojan horse bacterium.
That's an incredibly apt description, given the clever mechanism. Researchers have developed a method that uses a tumor-seeking bacterium.
Bacteria that seek out tumors.
Yes, certain bacteria naturally gravitate towards the low-oxygen environment inside tumors. They use these bacteria to transport a virus directly into cancer cells, effectively allowing the therapeutic agent to evade the immune system.
Hiding the virus from the immune system.
Okay, this innovative system, which they've dubbed CAT-PPSID, combined AAV and Pseudomonas platform for targeted suppression of immune defenses, ingeniously merges the bacteria's natural ability to home in on tumors with the virus's inherent capability to specifically target and kill cancer cells.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more because it's genuinely brilliant. The genius here lies in how the virus remains concealed within the bacteria, literally like a Trojan horse.
Exactly.
This directly addresses a key, long-standing challenge in oncolytic virus therapy. That's the field where scientists use viruses to fight cancer.
Right, the immune system usually wipes out the virus first.
Normally, the body's immune system is incredibly efficient at detecting and destroying these therapeutic viruses before they can reach the tumor and do their crucial work. But by hiding it inside the bacterium, they've found a way to deliver it safely past those immune defenses.
Exactly. And they've engineered an even more brilliant safety mechanism into the system.
A safety switch.
The virus inside the bacterium is engineered to be dependent on a specific protease, which is an enzyme that is only available from the bacteria itself.
So the virus needs the bacteria to work.
Precisely. This means that even if the virus somehow escapes the tumor environment or the bacteria, it cannot replicate or spread in healthy tissue because it lacks that essential enzyme.
That's clever. Prevents it going rogue.
This built-in safeguard is a significant advancement in the safety profile of living cancer therapies, holding immense potential for broad clinical applications in the future. It's a truly elegant solution to a complex problem.
Still on the topic of cutting-edge, somewhat speculative ideas, let's touch on something that always sparks a lively debate and captures the imagination. Interstellar objects and the possibility of alien intelligence.
Avi Loeb territory.
Yes. Yahoo News highlighted the controversial and often provocative astronomer Avi Loeb, who suggests that a newly discovered interstellar object designated 3I Idlas
Another visitor from outside the solar system.
may have been sent by advanced aliens to test human intelligence.
Okay, that's quite a claim.
It is. This specific hypothesis by Professor Loeb certainly raises an important question about how we, as scientists and as a society, approach scientific inquiry when faced with phenomena that push the very boundaries of our current understanding.
Balancing speculation with evidence.
Right. Balancing healthy speculation with rigorous evidence. While the vast majority of astronomers, including those at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, classify 3I Idlas as a relatively ordinary comet that originated from outside our solar system.
So the mainstream view is it's natural.
Loeb, based on certain orbital and physical characteristics he deems anomalous, continues to insist on its potential extraterrestrial artificial origin.
He's sticking to his guns.
It's a powerful reminder that science thrives on open questions and robust, sometimes controversial, debate, even when dealing with potentially paradigm-shifting concepts. Keeps things interesting, if nothing else.
Definitely food for thought.
And finally, back to Earth for a moment for some really refreshing news about education and future-proofing. In Hong Kong, CEOs are taking a surprisingly hands-on approach to driving artificial intelligence, AI, education.
CEOs teaching AI.
Well, leading the charge anyway. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, reported on the AI 5000 initiative, a new, ambitious program designed to educate 5,000 secondary school students about artificial intelligence.
5,000 students.
But what's truly unique here is that it's not just some distant corporate directive. It's led by over a dozen CEOs and top executives who actually underwent training themselves.
Wow, they did the course first.
That's leading by example, isn't it? This initiative is particularly commendable because it specifically aims to narrow the significant gap in tech skills access that often exists between wealthy and underprivileged students in Hong Kong.
Bridging the digital divide.
The training sessions are designed to be highly practical, including hands-on projects where the executives themselves learn to use various AI tools, setting a direct and visible example for the students.
And ethics. That's crucial with AI.
Critically, yes. The initiative also places a significant emphasis on ethical considerations in AI usage, which is absolutely vital as AI becomes increasingly integrated into every facet of our lives.
That's really good to hear.
It's an innovative, multifaceted approach to building future literacy and promoting responsible technological advancement, ensuring that the benefits of AI are more broadly distributed. #tag societal currents and economic shifts. From technological breakthroughs that are shaping our future, let's navigate the shifting societal currents and economic landscapes that impact millions around the world. First up, a very disruptive labor dispute, the Air Canada strike in Canada.
Ah, yes, that caused chaos.
Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, WSJ, CNN, and the BBC all reported extensively on this. Flight attendants went on strike, grounding numerous flights and in the process affecting about 130,000 passengers during a peak travel period.
Huge numbers affected. Talk about a travel nightmare.
It was indeed a significant disruption, highlighting the immense leverage that organized labor can still wield in critical industries. The Canadian government quickly intervened, recognizing the substantial economic and public impact.
What did the government do?
They are sought to impose binding arbitration as a mechanism to resolve the dispute, and notably, order the flight attendants back to work.
Force them back to work.
This action underscores the government's role in mediating critical labor disputes, particularly those that directly affect essential public services and national economic activity. But here's where it gets complicated and where the human element of defiance really comes into play. CNN reported that the union representing the flight attendants, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, QPE, they boldly stated that its members would defy the government's directive to return to work.
Wow, defying the government order.
This was a clear act of defiance, emphasizing their determination to address their grievances, which included issues of pay, working conditions, and job security, without being forced back prematurely.
Standing their ground.
This situation vividly illustrates the complexities of labor negotiations and the inherent tensions in labor relations within the airline industry, as highlighted by Reuters, WSJ, and BBC. It's not just about the numbers on a contract. It's deeply about workers' rights, their determination, and their willingness to push back against government intervention.
Shifting our focus to China, there's a fascinating and complex dynamic unfolding in its employment landscape. This is largely due to an intensified focus by the government on rigorously enforcing social insurance contributions among businesses.
Social insurance.
Right.
Like pensions, healthcare contributions.
Exactly. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, detailed how this policy shift is inadvertently, or perhaps intentionally, benefiting an unexpected demographic: retirees.
Retirees. How does enforcing contributions help retirees get jobs?
It's wild workaround, frankly. McDonald's job advertisements specifically aimed at retirees, for instance, sparked a strong social media reaction because hiring retirees allows companies to bypass social insurance costs.
A loophole.
In China, employers are legally required to contribute to various social insurance funds for their full-time employees, covering pensions, medical care, unemployment, and maternity leave. However, for retirees, this obligation often doesn't apply,
Making them cheaper to hire.
making them a more cost-effective option for businesses. This is a big deal in a country grappling with a rapidly aging population and the colossal challenge of funding its social security system.
Exactly, and we connect this to the bigger picture. It's a fascinating and rather unique case study of a nation balancing the social security needs of its rapidly aging population with the persistent employment challenges faced by its youth,
Especially new graduates.
all within a changing economic environment. There are legitimate fears among younger generations that hiring retirees may inadvertently reduce opportunities for the 12.2 million university graduates entering the job market annually, exacerbating youth unemployment,
So solving one problem creates another.
potentially. Meanwhile, a new judicial ruling mandating strict compliance with social insurance contributions has raised significant concerns for small and medium-sized businesses,
Because of the cost.
potentially leading to layoffs or business closures as they struggle to absorb the increased costs, according to SCMP. It's a very complex economic tightrope walk for Beijing with no easy answers. And speaking of economic tensions that ripple across borders, DW reported that critical U.S. trade talks with India have been paused,
U.S.-India trade talks paused. Why?
leaving thousands of Indian business owners facing an impending 25% tariff increase set to take effect on August 27th. That's a direct hit to their bottom line.
25% increase, wow. On top of existing tariffs.
This is indeed significant, particularly because the U.S. currently imposes what are already the highest tariffs on Indian goods, reaching 50% in some categories.
50% tariffs, that's huge.
The halt in these crucial trade talks is attributed to rising tensions, specifically following President Donald Trump's decision to enforce an additional 25% tariff.
And what triggered that decision?
This decision, according to DW, was directly linked to India's continued substantial imports of Russian oil, a move that the U.S. views as undermining Western sanctions against Moscow.
Ah, the Russian oil connection again.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means even seemingly localized trade decisions, like those between the U.S. and India, can ripple out and impact broader geopolitical relationships, highlighting how interwoven energy policy, trade negotiations and complex international relations truly are.
Everything's connected.
The Indian government, for its part, continues to advocate for self-reliance and diversification of its economic partners amid these persistent economic tensions, DW added, signaling a strategic long-term vision.
Moving to more positive economic trends and societal developments, UN News recently highlighted inspiring stories of female entrepreneurs rising in Bahrain,
Bahrain, okay. Good news stories are welcome.
a nation in the Persian Gulf. They profiled individuals like Emman Farid, who successfully transformed her baking passion into a thriving business called Brown Sugar,
Nice.
and Nora Khalid Musafer, who likewise developed her spice blending business, Malawal, showcasing the power of entrepreneurial spirit.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because it's a story of local empowerment with global impact. Their remarkable success is largely attributed to COF Humanitarian, an NGO founded in 2021.
COF Humanitarian, what's their focus?
This organization specifically empowers individuals, particularly women, by helping them establish businesses that are aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
Linking business with SDGs, that's
Yeah.
smart.
This is a fantastic example of local grassroots efforts making a tangible impact on broader sustainable development and gender equality objectives. These entrepreneurial women are not just uplifting their families and communities,
But contributing to the whole economy?
but are also contributing significantly to the broader economy of Bahrain, fostering economic diversification and resilience. Really positive stuff.
Finally, we turn to rising crime and safety concerns that are drawing national and international attention, illustrating challenges many urban centers face.
Okay, shifting tone again.
New York City, for instance, experienced a tragic mass shooting in Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
Oh no, not another one.
Resulted in 3 deaths and 8 wounded at the Taste of the City lounge. Crime scene investigators found at least 36 shell casings at the site, according to RT and ABC7.
36 casings. Awful.
Highlighting ongoing public safety and gun violence concerns that continue to plague major metropolitan areas in the U.S.
Across the Atlantic, in the United Kingdom, civil liberty organizations are expressing significant discontent over the Metropolitan Police's plans to deploy controversial facial recognition technology.
Facial recognition. Where?
During the upcoming Carnival celebrations in London, the BBC reported widespread concerns over privacy violations and the potential for misuse of such powerful surveillance tools,
That old debate. Security versus privacy.
highlighting the ongoing global debate about the delicate balance between security and individual rights in an increasingly monitored world. It's that constant tug of war.
And in a particularly politically charged move in the U.S., the New York Times and DW reported that 3 Republican-led states, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Ohio, are deploying National Guard troops to Washington, D.C.
National Guard to D.C. Why?
This deployment is framed as part of a response to a federal crackdown initiated by the Trump administration on crime in the Capitol.
Okay, so federal initiative, state troops, how many?
West Virginia is sending 300 to 400 troops, South Carolina 200, and Ohio 150 military police.
What makes this particularly interesting from a political perspective is the clear contradiction. This deployment comes amid President Trump's assertion of rising crime in the nation's capital.
But is crime actually rising there?
Well, DW specifically points out that recent crime statistics contradict the narrative, actually showing a 30-year low in violent crime in Washington, D.C.
A 30-year low, so the stats don't match the rhetoric.
It's a perfect example of how perception and political narrative can sometimes diverge wildly from actual data.
This situation in Washington, D.C. truly highlights a fascinating and sometimes fraught tension point. The intersection of state and federal authority, particularly concerning law enforcement and public safety.
And how politics uses crime stats or ignores them.
And how perceived versus actual crime statistics can influence highly politicized decisions. When a president or federal administration asserts a need for military intervention based on a narrative of rising crime, even when local statistics, as DW accurately points out, show a 30-year low in violent crime.
It raises questions.
It raises fundamental questions about data-driven policy versus politically motivated action. And for Mayor Muriel Bowser, the local leader of Washington, D.C., it's a direct challenge to the city's self-governance and autonomy.
Echoing historical battles over D.C.'s status.
Exactly. It's a complex interplay of politics, public perception, and real-world safety playing out on a national stage. #tag outro.
And with that, we've navigated a truly incredible Sometimes bewildering, but always fascinating array of topics today.
Quite the journey.
From the high-stakes international relations playing out in the post-Alaska summit landscape and the tragic humanitarian crises in Gaza and South Asia.
To the quiet triumphs of scientific discovery in nuclear physics and cancer therapy.
And the very human stories of community-led economic development in Bahrain, it's clear the world is not just a collection of headlines, but a deeply interwoven tapestry of interconnected events.
Our deep dive aimed to show you that being truly well-informed isn't just about skimming those headlines or absorbing isolated facts.
It's more than that.
It's about understanding the intricate web connecting these seemingly disparate stories, grasping their underlying causes, and comprehending their profound implications for us all, wherever we are on this interconnected planet.
So what does this all mean for you, personally? As we grapple with the immense complexities of global diplomacy, navigating shifting alliances and humanitarian crises.
And simultaneously facing the escalating and undeniable impacts of climate change.
What responsibility do you believe individuals and communities hold in shaping a more stable and sustainable future for our interconnected planet?
Is it through civic engagement, supporting specific policies, or maybe simply staying informed and engaged?
Something to mull on, isn't it?
Thank you for joining us on this extensive deep dive into the latest global developments. We hope you feel a little more connected to the world around you.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and always, always keep digging beneath the surface.